Wow, it is already February. I know I say this every single time I do one of these, but the year is already going by fast. Like, we're already in February of 2026. But, anyways, it's that time of the month where I rank every single movie that I watched in said month, this being January, from the worst to the best. In this month, I saw 5 movies, which I think is a world record for January for me, at least. This is my record. But time to rank them from the worst to the best. And I think that this was a pretty good month considering this movie is in 5th place, but I still thought that it was a pretty solid movie. This is a Netflix rom-com, people we meet on vacation, and I honestly thought that it was pretty good. It was a lot better than I thought it would be, which just shows how strong this year of January was. It's normally January movies are pretty bad, but this month was pretty good. And I think this was a solid rom-com movie. It's exactly what you see about these two people who meet on vacation and turns into a romance, and it's fun. It definitely ended. I definitely ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. I thought it would be a lot more. In many ways, it is a generic romance movie, but I thought it was very enjoyable about this couple who meet on vacation, and they kind of actually how they meet, and then he has to drive her back home, and kind of in the process they kind of form this relationship, and then it takes place over a couple of years of them separating, meeting other people until they eventually fall in love with each other again. It's very predictable, it's very Netflixy, but I still thought it was a pretty solid time. It's nothing amazing, but it was good. I will say, I do think that the way they kind of cut back and forth between present day and then flashbacks was kind of confusing, but it was still a solid movie. And coming in 4th place, we have The Rip. And this is another movie where I thought this movie was pretty good. I think that some of my problems that I had with this movie was just, I think there's a little too much swearing to the point where it just felt like they were trying to be cool, and it just felt like it was every single sentence, and it just got tiring. But for the most part, this is a really solid movie about these Miami cops who find millions of dollars in stolen money, and they have to count it all. But in the process, like, we kind of are on back and forth, and the movie tries to like go direct you in a certain way where it's like, okay, are these dirty cops? One of these is a dirty cop. Is it Ben Affleck? Is it Matt Damon? Like, we don't know. And I think that the movie does a really good job of kind of keeping you on the edge of your seat and not really knowing who to trust. And I will say, by the end of the movie, I genuinely didn't see the twist coming. I thought it was a really well done twist. And I think that it's a movie like this where it kind of just shows, like, when you have great actors, you can just make a real, like, this is a pretty, for the most part, in terms of story, it's a pretty straightforward story. But when you have great actors and a great director, you can make such a compelling story in such a compelling movie with a story that is relatively simplistic, because a lot of this movie is just them counting money and then kind of like yelling at each other. But I never really found it boring. I thought it was a pretty solid time. I will say it is kind of, I think it's labeled as like an action, like thriller, but it's very more like tense where you just don't know who to trust. Like, there are some shootouts for sure. But what makes this movie exciting is more like, you're like, okay, is that going to happen? Okay, can I trust him? Oh, now that happened. And I thought it was a solid time. And coming in 3rd place, we have Primate. This movie is pretty bizarre and very crazy and very bloody. I think what holds this movie back, even though I really liked it, is what I really liked about this movie was the 3rd act was just so much fun. But the first 2 acts weren't really bad, but I would say at times it's kind of like, it was kind of like, not necessarily checked out, but like, it was like, okay, can we move this along? And this movie's very short. It's only about an hour and 29 minutes. But it's like still can kind of drag at times. But why I put it above like a movie like The Rip, even though I think most people would probably like it more, is I do think even though it drags, I think that just the action and kills is just so much fun. And for a January horror movie that is normally dump month, and you can definitely kind of see that this is a January horror movie when you watch it. A lot of the characters aren't really the brightest or even really that likable. They're kind of just there to get ripped apart. But it's a really fun time. I will say I also don't think that the ending was super. I thought it was a little anticlimactic, but it wasn't bad. But I constantly just had a really fun time with this movie, just seeing this ape just tear people apart. And there are so many times in this movie where you see people come in and you see the ape behind him, and you're like, okay, something bad's gonna happen. And then it's just glorious. And it's very over the top gore, very bloody, but very, very fun. I definitely recommend this movie if you're into horror. And coming in second place, we have The Wrecking Crew. This is another movie where it's carried, I think, by the excellent chemistry between Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista. These guys are just so much fun, and after like watching this movie, I'm like, I can't wait to see Jason Momoa as Lobo and Supergirl this summer. I'm so excited. This movie is about these two brothers who are pretty estranged, who have to reconnect after their father was murdered and kind of solve this crime in Hawaii. And it's a lot of fun. Like, it's very interesting seeing Dave Bautista kind of play the straight man, considering I'd say he's probably most known for playing Drax in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and obviously the Avengers movies and stuff. But who's in that character is obviously a very silly character, but here he's a lot more serious, and Jason Momoa is the silly one. But really, that's what makes this movie so much fun, is just the dynamic between these characters. Like, and this is another movie where I wouldn't really say that there's not stakes. There are, but when you, like these kind of movies, like when you have these two huge action stars, literally huge in terms of like physicality, you know, like each fight scene, they're going to be fine. But that doesn't necessarily make any of the fight scenes boring. They are. Like, the action in this movie is very fun. I really liked the one at the beginning of the movie with Jason Momoa when he's being, like, you got Dave Bautista and you got Jason Momoa, and they're fighting Yakuza bosses in Hawaii at times. It's just awesome. It's a really fun movie. I don't think it's, like, amazing. It's not going to blow you away. But I think that anyone who turns this movie on is probably going to get exactly what they're looking for. Or at least exactly what they'd expect. But coming in at number one is easily Send Help. I thought that this movie was so much fun. It's so interesting to see, like, our lead character here of Linda just slowly descend into madness. And this movie is very weird, which makes sense considering it's directed by Sam Raimi. And what I mean by when I say weird is, like, our lead here, I wouldn't really say any of the two leads here are particularly likable. I mean, Dylan O'Brien character is especially hateable, but Linda, like Rachel McAdams, Linda, like, she's so weird and awkward and just like nerdy, but not in a charming way that it's kind of uncomfortable, but also really compelling and fun, that I just had a blast with this movie. This movie obviously touches on a lot of like power dynamics in the workplace, gender dynamics. And I think it's all done in a very just well done way. And you know that because the first like third of this movie, Dylan O'Brien is just bullying Rachel McAdams the whole time. You know, like she's eventually just gonna snap when they're together on this island. Like you said, like even some of the posters say like she's the boss now. And there's so much where you're just like, oh God, she's going to snap. She's got those crazy eyes. And even Dylan O'Brien, like the eye acting in this movie is so good. It's just a blast of a time. I was constantly on the edge of my seat, just having so much fun. And this movie is very gnarly with the blood, very gory. And it's just so nice to see a January horror movie that was genuinely just really great and just a blast of a time. So that was my ranking of all 5 January 2026 movies that I watched, ranked from the worst to the best. And like I said, I can't believe that that January's already over. We're already more than 1/12 of the way through 2026. It feels like it was just New Year's yesterday. But anyways, leave a like if you enjoy this ranking, and please leave a ranking of every single January 2026 movie that you watched, ranked from the worst to the best. Leave a like if you enjoyed this ranking, and subscribe for more rankings and reviews.